All right, welcome to the Jeff Heggie Show. I'm excited today to have Dennis Mellen with me. I'm going to introduce Dennis, but I'm going to give him the opportunity to give more of his background. But Dennis comes from he's a retired Air Force pilot. He worked in the civilian air industry. And more importantly, of what we're going to talk here is he's recently written a book and takes more than heart that we really want to talk about some of the things that he's talked about in there. Yeah, let's start with that, Dennis. I'm excited to continue the conversation we started offline, but give a little bit more of a background of yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of one of those guys that at age 10, I'm at my father's Air Force base, looking at the jets overhead going, wow, that's pretty cool. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Of course, my wife says I haven't reached that point yet, so I'm still working on that. But I wanted to be a professional pilot, so I went through the whole routine of what's the best route, what's the best way. I thought about making a career in the Air Force, so I went to the Air Force Academy and to pilot training, and flew in the Air Force for 20 years. About 14 of that was with the Air Force Reserves, and then concurrently with that, I started flying with Alaska Airlines out of Seattle, the 5th largest carrier now. So that's a distinctive accomplishment for Alaska Airlines.
Right. And so once you got out of flying, what took you on the journey to where you are to writing this book and sharing this story?
Well, one of my my best friend and his wife, we were having a conversation a few years back, and she said, you should write a book about your experiences. Background on that is at age 56, one day I'm up flying over Eugene, Oregon, clear blue sky day, going, I've been doing this for a while. It's still hard work, but I'm actually loving this still, and I'm making it look easy. And the very next day, I go out on one of my bi-weekly, tri-weekly mountain bike rides, and I have a heart attack up on a trail. In the trail book, it is labeled "It's a Bitch." It's a trail that climbs 500 feet in 1 mile with a bunch of switchbacks. Well, I didn't quite make it up that hill, so I ended up having a heart attack. I was out completely, and 2 hikers happened upon me, luckily, called 911. EMTs came out, put me on a gurney, started down the hill, and the hospital was about a half an hour away. So on the way to the hospital, they had to shock me evidently 25 times and another 20 times in the ER. So I'm lucky to be here. But long story short, I lost my medical and could not fly. So one day I'm at the peak, enjoying it, and I love this job, and the next day it's gone. So that was a hard struggle for me. Anyway, to get back to my friends, they said, you should write a book about that. And I said, nobody wants to hear about somebody whining about their life is so hard and all that stuff. And he said, no, you really should. There's some good stuff in there. Well, the pandemic hit a couple of years back, and it is almost 2 years now. And I just sat down and started writing, and I wrote as much as I could for a draft. And I go, well, that makes up for about 40 pages. Might make a good comic book or something. I don't know. But I'd been keeping a journal over the last 13 years. My heart attack happened in 2008. And I went to it to see if I could get any ideas. And as I'm doing it, I was looking at it going, wow, that fits here. Oh, this will fit over there. And pretty soon I've fleshed it out enough to where I had about 160 pages or so. And I let a couple editors read it and said, yeah, this is good stuff. So I went ahead and published it. So that's how I got to the book. Takes more than heart, changing the journey's challenges into opportunities.
And I'll make sure in the show notes to have all the links so people can find where to
Yeah,
get
that'll
that
be
book
great.
and
That'll be
whatnot.
great. Yeah.
But one of the things I read in some of your information, it says your goal for the book was to provide motivation, education, and humor to inspire those who face serious challenges in life. And then in another area, I read that you said in life you'll encounter many obstacles. How you deal with these challenges will define your character. So tell me a little bit more about who's this book for.
Well, the original intent, as I started, was people in similar circumstances that are recovering from a serious health issue or something. But then I started thinking, that's not the only trauma that happens to people. There could be a business loss, or for like coaches like you and I, a career-ending or a season-ending athletic injury. So I started orienting some of the quotes, some of the meat of what I was writing towards or in that vein, and it started making sense to people. And some of the beta readers that I had reading it said, "Yeah, this is good stuff. It really made a difference with me." And the intent wasn't New York Times bestseller, millionaire Dennis Mellen. Really, the intent was to give people hope or a route to recover and not have to make the same mistakes or go through the same situations that I did. And if they did, to be able to relate to it.
So you'd mentioned athletics there and coaching and whatnot, and just my listeners have heard Tammy Matheny on my shows before. They've heard me talk about her a lot, and in my Confident Athlete program I use a lot of her material. Tammy's the one that introduced Dennis and I, and so I want to get into a few things. One of the things that Tammy and I talked about on the podcast I had her on, and I know you talk about it in your book, is the philosophy of win. What's important next? And so share that with us and tell us a little bit more about it and how we apply that. And especially because I do have a lot of athletes that listen to this program. How does that apply in our athletic endeavors?
Well, with my athletes, I coach high school baseball. The first step is convincing them that baseball is a game of failure, and the only thing that you can do is move on from it. But the perfect baseball analogy is, a play happens, that goes in the scorebook. You're not going to change that. The best you can do out of that is take the lesson and move forward and be forward looking. In other words, what's important next, what's important now, depends on your perspective. If you're a batter coming up to bat, you struck out last time, but really you're working on this pitch because that's the future. And by accepting the fact that you're going to fail most of the time, especially for a baseball player at bat, failing 7 out of 10 times, if you do that for a career, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. You'll be batting 300. So learning how to apply that to business. The same concept a batter goes through, okay, my last at bat, the learning thing, I struck out. The learning thing was I saw 2 fastballs away, a change up high, and a curveball. I wonder if he's going to do that same pattern there. That's the lesson moving forward. Well, in business is applied the same way. What happened that I can learn from so that the decision now I can keep moving forward. And you always keep the goal in mind. I think Tammy or one of the writers that talks about looking at things long range, having a telescope view, but taking care of what's in the microscope, or taking care of the next mile on your journey, one mile at a time. If for a pilot, it's a perfect analogy. Once you don't, if you're riding in the back, you want the pilots taking care of the next mile, and you want them to get to your goal wherever your destination is. So it's a perfect analogy. So
Right.
take care of the next mile, take care of the next step, take care of this moment, you know?
Yeah. Is that so? That actually leads into another question. Is that the concept you're talking about, where you talk about take care of the next 200 feet of the journey? Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I tell a story. Oh, I think you're referring to the story of if you and I are driving from Chicago to Disney World, we can go through Memphis, we can go through Knoxville, we can go through Nashville. They all will eventually get us to our goal of Disney World. But along the way, roadblocks, weather, traffic jams, all kinds of things happen, road closures. So we have to take care of the next mile, keeping Disney World in mind. Same analogy in business. What is your vision, and how can I stay connected to that as I journey forth?
Right. No, I love that. And after I first got introduced to the what's important next, I use that a lot with my basketball players, because there's so many times you see someone, they miss a shot and it's so in their head, they're useless for the next play.
Right.
And when they can take this concept in and say, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. What can I control? What's important next? And I think it's really a powerful tool.
Yeah, it's similar to baseball. First, let's say my pitcher walks a guy. Okay, not a good event, but what's important next? The team comes around him, and to use Tammy's book, this is good. You go up. I have them going up to the pitcher, going, "Hey, this is good. We've been practicing double plays for weeks. We're set up for a double play, and we can still have the outcome that we want." So it's just my thing. So what you'd like to see is an individual, maybe he's hanging his head, and the other team come up and lift his chin up and say, "Look, we're working on this pitch. That one's done. There's nothing we can do about that. Let's move on."
Yeah. And like you say, this is perfect for sports, business, whatever you're doing. This is great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Another acronym I want you to talk about is DWI. Tell us more about that.
Driving while intoxicated, isn't it? No,
I hope
actually not. Actually, that's a Navy SEAL acronym, and it stands for deal with it. We're surrounded by the enemy and we're running out of ammunition. Deal with it. Just keep dealing with it. And you could see that if you've ever watched the movie Lone Survivor. He was a Navy SEAL, and he just kept dealing with whatever came, and he eventually survived. Now, he was the only survivor, but he never gave up. And similar things have happened with women in the armed forces. Never given up. Keep moving forward. There's always something you can do that will contribute to either getting out of the mess or reaching your goal. And that's what it is. Deal with it.
Awesome.
Don't get bogged down with the sky is falling. I've struck out 6 times. My business, I just lost $100,000 contract. Deal with it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I love that.
It doesn't do any good to have anxiety about what has happened, right?
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much time and mental energy wasted on things that are out of your control and not dealing with it.
Right. And that's a key. The actual moving forward, the first step to begin is, what do I have controllable here? What's controllable to affect that outcome when it comes,
Right. So I want to take this in a little bit of a direction of, a lot of the things we're talking about. And I think you and I talked about this the other day, how many things in life are just in athletics are just a reflection of life in general. So many things that we, as coaches, as a baseball coach, as a basketball coach, we teach our athletes, but these are, concepts that they can take throughout their life. I know a lot of the things that I have as values and things I do today, I was taught as a high school athlete from my coaches. And
Yeah.
so I talk a lot about the overlap of that. But when you look, say, with your baseball team, what's your concept of how do you go about with them setting goals and really putting those targets out there for them?
Well, it really comes down to not what I want or what I see as the vision. It's getting buy-in from the players. I can remember the initial setup with the baseball players, and the same thing goes on in business. When you set your goals for the year, your KPI, your key performance indicators for the year, your 5-year goal or your vision, to be a company that flies people safely from point A to B all the time. So sitting down and getting the buy-in from the players or the employees or whoever's on your team is really important. And here's an example. I'm talking to 17, 18-year-olds. What's your goal for the year? Well, we usually play 35 games. And the first thing was to win all 35 games. I said, well, that's a result and probably not attainable. How are you going to feel if you don't win all 35? Does that make your year a failure? Then I went through the iteration of, if we win 25 out of 35, is that year a failure? What makes this year successful? And they finally, through facilitation, I didn't come up with it, but they finally came up with something along the lines of, we want to strike fear in the opponents. When we walk out of the field, we want them to think, we're bringing our A game. You better bring your A game, or you don't have a chance. And then fight it out, And of course, there's gonna be mistakes made and heroics done and things like that. But it's they've bought into the concept, and that's what I think is really important. I think too many times leaders try to impose what they want, and if they can get the team to buy in to the vision or to the overriding goal, then they get excited about what they're working on, or about their practice, or about competing.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So share with me your thoughts around, I like to talk with people about mindset, creating a powerful mindset. And, that can go in a lot of directions. But share with me your thoughts around, what do you do when someone's struggling? What do you do when someone's struggling and you're trying to help them create a powerful mindset and get on track? What are some strategies you use?
Well, one is, sit down with them and show them that, and you're well aware of this through the power positive leadership tenets that they have, is one, what do we have control over so that we can influence the outcome? But the biggest thing is having that mindset of I need to have faith that I can reach my goal. I mean, there's two ways of looking at the future, right? You can fear it, or you can have faith. But if it hasn't happened, there's a direct quote. If it hasn't happened yet, why would you pick fear? So the idea is stop comparing yourself to everybody else. What can I do to improve just a little bit today, and improve just a little bit tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, each day building on that improvement. And you're never at that perfect spot. I'm thinking of a Vince Lombardi quote. He told his players one time when he was talking to them about something along the lines of, gentlemen, we will pursue perfection relentlessly, knowing full well we'll never achieve it. But in working towards perfection, we may achieve excellence. So in other words, there's an allowance there for making mistakes, and we're still pursuing perfection. No, we're not going to get there, but we're getting one step closer each time. And of course, perfection's elusive anyway, but it's that it's that growth mindset that they talk about. Who is that? Is that Carol DeWick or?
Yep.
I forget who that is. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Growth mindset, maintaining that growth mindset. I'm always improving. I'm never, it's never at an equilibrium on this is good enough.
Right.
It's success is not a destination type thing. It's a process,
Yeah. And I think something that really ties in there is the opposite, is the fixed mindset. And,
right.
Avoiding that, because it's saying, I failed, so I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And when you can go to the other side and have that growth mindset, it's
yeah, exactly. Powerful. You can say, I failed, I'm a failure. What if you just change that? I failed, but I'm moving forward,
and I'm learning from it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I teach with, whether it's my athletes or the entrepreneurs I work with, is the power of compounding. And our success really comes from the little daily success habits we implement in our life. And regardless, I actually, on one of my other podcasts just the other day, was talking about this. We're getting to the new year and people set all their goals and the gyms are full and everything, and then by February everyone's thrown in the towel. Not everyone, but so many. And it's because they get to the gym and the next day they haven't lost 20 pounds, and the next week they haven't lost 20 pounds, and they're not buff in the mirror and whatnot. And so I talked to them about how if we put the proper success habits in place and we're consistent with them, that over time we can move mountains. Do you have anything with the people that you work with? Do you have daily success habits that you implement into their routines?
Right. What popped into my mind is a lot of times it's like coach, or even when I'm business consulting, I just can't, I have this habit of doing this. I can't break that habit. And Brian Kane has got a concept he calls habit stacking. You're talking about dieting. He says something along those. Yeah, every night at 7:00 while I'm watching TV, I go for the bag of Doritos. Okay, if you're habit stacking, the concept is you go at 7:00, you get that hunger pang, but instead of Doritos, you substitute, I don't know, something healthy, granola or a piece of fruit or something like that. So you don't break that habit of eating at that time, but you do it with something healthy. The same thing happens when you have something that's reoccurring in a business or reoccurring with your batting swing or your free throws. What do I need to change? Maybe I need to take that deep breath and a cleansing breath and focus on the foul pole, or focus on the backboard, right upper corner or something like that. Take that deep cleansing breath and then get a positive thought, and then move into the ready position for the free throw or the at bat or whatever. It's having a way to flush. That's a Ken revisiting, to flush what's in your mind and get to this moment. We're back to winning the moment right here, And that it's a hard concept for the younger guys, but I think at college level and professional level, you'll see them doing that. That's why they have routines.
Right.
I bounce it 3 times, I look up, bounce it 3 more times, and then I shoot. Take a deep breath and I shoot. Or, I focus on the label on the bat, and then on the left field foul pole, take a deep breath. You see it all the time. Pitchers. Something bad happens, a lot of them will do this do a routine where they take their cleats and they wipe the rubber off, what they're doing is they're erasing what just happened. I'm on to this pitch. I mean, you can watch it. That's why I love watching a game when you're like 5 rows back at a professional game, and you see all the little subtle things that are being going on. You get to see the signs, all that stuff. It's really cool to see the game within the game,
I think that's an important part of it is you do have to create those little things that you do every time that get you in the right mode, that are preparing you to do that. And again, something else I teach a lot, and it's something that again I learned through Tammy, is using a keyword. Because I was actually talking with one of my clients last night about this. Is in performance, so much of it happens so quick, and so much of it needs to be muscle memory and those sort of things that you can't mentally go through everything. For example, I used to rodeo. I was a steer wrestler, and when you're doing things, when the whole process from nodding your head to go to being done takes 3 or 4 seconds. You don't have time to think about that. And so one of the things Tammy talks about is using your keywords. And so I had my keyword that I would always use before I went that would make me focus on one specific thing that I knew if I did that right, everything else would flow. Everything else would fall into place. And so, you start to see these things, and, no one knew I was sitting on my horse telling myself that keyword. And most people that don't know the ins and outs of baseball don't know that's what the pitcher is doing on the mound when he's swiping his foot across there. But these are things that are going to help them be more mentally prepared for what's next.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with routines, and even getting into some of the rituals and stuff. But routines are important. A lot of times, since I had a military background and a aviation professional pilot background, people look at it as, oh, you don't think, you just execute checklists and stuff. You do things in a set way. Well, no, the reason we do things in a set way is, one, it makes you perfectly predictable to the other pilot. And two, if you have a routine, now you have a way of thinking outside of the routine when something else has happened. I still do the gear comes down at 1,500 feet on almost every approach, or if it's clear, sometimes 500. But these are routines, so that if we get past a point, I go, oh yeah, that's right, I'm a little bit late on the landing gear, or things like that. You have time to think about, any number of emergencies that might happen, but you still have that routine that you don't have to think about, so it lets your mind have the opportunity to think about other things. That's muscle memory is one for athletes. You don't even have to think about, how am I going to field this ground ball, or how am I going to switch directions on this dribble, or whatever. It just happens. It's normal.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And you're right, because you might have a routine, you might have done it 100 times, but when some outside force throws a curveball at you, all of a sudden, are you going to miss things? And there's actually a great
red flag comes up.
Yeah. The Checklist Manifesto is a great book on this, talking about it. And you've got those checklists that you need to do.
Right.
It allows you to follow that routine, but still deal with the
same thing. We were just alluding to habit stacking.
Yeah.
You got something wrong with your swing up at the plate, so you need to change it. Well, change your routine up there too. That'll remind you, hey, I've got to get I've got a slight hitch in my swing or something. I got to change your routine, and that'll end up reminding you, hey, I got to think about the hitch, particularly in practice. You don't want to be changing things in the middle of the game, but you get the idea. It plays right into the habit stacking.
Right, exactly. So we're getting to our time here. So what I would like to do, I'm going to include everything in the show notes. I'll put your links and everything, but I want you to do a couple things for us. Share exactly who's going to get the most out of this book and why they need this book and how it's going to help them. And then also share where people can find you and follow you on social media and website and whatnot.
Okay. The website is beabean.net, BEABEAN, beabean.net. And the concept behind that is, as a leader, you're that coffee bean that enters the water and changes that water from ordinary water into gourmet coffee. As you blend into a team, you're changing them into gourmet coffee. So that's the concept there. Now, all the book links, you could go directly to takesmorethanheart.com. But you can also get that link off of the Be a Bean site also. It's Dennis Mellen on LinkedIn, Be a Bean on Facebook, Be a Bean 14. Now I'm going in the memory here. Be a Bean 14 on Twitter. I'm sure you'll publish a lot of this. And I forgot what was the other question you wanted to answer there?
Just for anyone listening that this is intriguing them, tell a little bit more about who the book's for.
Well, it's for anybody that has suffered a catastrophic either business failure, athletic injury, health problem. It's how to change what has happened into an opportunity. And to illustrate the fact of changing challenges into opportunities. Perfect example is my brother-in-law is a professional musician, plays the violin. He's played for the Chicago Symphony. He does gigs, weddings, teaches. He does the whole gamut. Pandemic hits. There's no face-to-face. We're locked down. So what do? Do you go, oh, there goes my business? He actually pivoted, and I watched him one day. He was teaching 5 students on Zoom, teaching them violin, and those 5 students were in Sweden. So I said, there's a guy that knows how to pivot. I can't sit here and do nothing and let my business go, just go bankrupt for my business. So he pivoted. So the idea with the book is the same thing. You fall down 7 times, you get up the 8th time. You just keep moving forward. You deal with it. Win this moment, win the next moment, win the next. It's a battle. Anybody that's had to battle with a failure. I mean, we talked about business people and athletes and people that have had traumatic health problems or something, serious heart attack. Although I'm not sure there's anything less than a serious heart attack. Are there minor heart attacks? I don't know. That's a joke.
Yeah, I don't think.
But the idea is to help people win the moment. I guess is the best way of putting it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And again, Takes More Than Heart is the book. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes, so please check that out. But Dennis, thank you for being with me today. Appreciate it. Really appreciate what you're doing.
Let them know that if they'll put a Amazon review in there, I'll follow up and I'll get them the crayons and the markers and stickers for the book that come with it. Excellent. I'm kidding.
All right. Thanks, Dennis. Take care.
All right. You too.
Hey, some of you may know this, but in addition to my coaching, I've recently joined Geneva Financial Home Loans, a mortgage lender headquartered in Chandler, Arizona, as a mortgage loan originator. I've always had a passion for serving others, and now I'm proud to also be a part of Home Loans Powered by Humans. If you're in the state of Arizona and looking to take the next step in your journey, contact me at 801-830-3858 to start the conversation. NMLS number 42056, BK number 0910215, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hey, athletes and parents of athletes. So much time, money, and effort is put into the physical aspect of your sport to become the best you can be. But the mental game, it's often neglected, and it's just as important as the physical game. In fact, it's usually the differentiator between the good and the great athletes. Come and join me in the Confident Athlete program where you'll learn to control your confidence, develop a powerful mindset, and unlock your full potential. Go to jeffheggie.com/confidentathlete to find out more. I look forward to seeing you there.